Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the channel. Starting off on this Monday. This is also a reminder that this week I'm starting a new schedule where I'm going to do slightly shorter readings and do them daily, Monday through Friday. They should go up. I tape in the mornings. They should go up around 3 or 4 Eastern. So just to know, so you know when to look out for them. I so appreciate your support and your comments and your hypes and all the things. I'm just really happy to have you here. Still riding the high from Saturday. That No Kings estimates of about 8 million. Some are saying that's a little low. But what's really interesting about that, I'm sure many of you saw, the GOP, Trump and company, all of the party in general is freaked out because not only were there over 3,000 separate events around the country, and certainly we saw the world, Tokyo, Paris, Rome, everybody, London showed up. I mean, it was just unbelievable. So grateful. And I know so many people needed that energy and needed to see that momentum and the voices being heard. But what really is freaking them out is the number of protests that were held in very, very small areas, deeply, deeply red, right? Florida, many of you know I'm in Florida. Florida showed out. Florida showed out, including West Palm, right? Including West Palm. So that's a very, very clear indication. We're understanding that, and after the primaries, Spirit has said, and political experts are also expecting more, even more retirements out of Congress. Folks who are just saying, "I'm out. I can't do it anymore." So really, really interesting times and some momentum that we really needed. All right, you all. A couple of things I want to get into today. Two quick things. How about Pope Leo popped off, if you will, as we say in the streets? Pope Leo popped off about this whole turn, especially certainly by Trump, but also especially by Heg's breath, as some of you call him, around, calling on Jesus and having these prayer meetings. We understand that at the Pentagon now, Hegseth has implemented a monthly, I think it is, mandatory prayer meeting. And in these meetings, he is just spewing straight up like he's on Spartacus mode, like kill them all kind of thing, right? And so Pope Leo came out for Palm Sunday and he was like, you are not going to bring Christ into this mix right here. What you talking about right here, you're not doing it. Here's where I want to go. Who is it that is an avowed Catholic? None other than J.D. Vance, right? At the behest of Peter Thiel, by the way. Some of you may or may not have been familiar with that, and you can look it up. Apparently, Peter Thiel was instrumental in J.D. Vance's conversion to Catholicism, right? So you got the Pope coming out and saying, "Hold up, you're not bringing heaven all up into this mix right here, right?" Now, I'm wondering. Here's where I want to look. This is putting J.D. Vance in a bind because, like, that's the Pope. That's the Pope. And you're an avowed Catholic. What you gonna do? What you gonna say? We also know that in the CPAC meeting they just held, that according to their polls, they took JD Rubio. They're saying Rubio ain't in the mix. The JD is their, all things being what they are, that JD is their candidate of choice for 2028. Here's what I want to ask. We know that JD is known for morphing into whatever he needs to be in the current moment, right? Whatever's most politically expedient for him. The turning point crowd, blah, blah. Is JD Vance going to morph away from Catholicism into a more Christian nationalist position? So just for political expediency, to try and keep his political hold. That's what I'm asking, Spirit. For those of you who read, I am reading with the Mystic Mondays deck. I thought that was appropriate. Mystic Mondays. All right, Spirit. Given Pope Leo's stance around the war and the increased use of making this sort of like a holy war, if you will J.D. Vance start to migrate away from Catholicism? Is he going to morph yet again? And that's going to turn so many people off. I mean, that is just like, All right, let's see what we got. We have justice. Yikes. And the hermit comes behind it. I'm not going to ignore that. And the tower comes behind that. And the Fool. Spirit is giving me the whole reading and an Ace of Pentacles. I can stop right there. Spirit, thank you. I didn't even have to do a lot of shuffling after that. We got the reading right here off the bottom of the deck after I shuffled. All right. Justice. He's going to weigh his decisions. This is on his mind. That's what Spirit is confirming here. I'm sorry for that shine because I'm in front of a window. But JD recognizes, oh wow, that the what they're doing, all this propaganda and religious propaganda and trying to frame this as a holy war to try and gin up the troops and keep the troops in line and support them. This is a godly thing. You're marching for Jesus. That Vance is gonna, like, he's trying to figure out, what do I do? How do I maintain my supposed faith and standing in the church, but also keep the Christian nationalists? So he's trying to weigh that out. We have the hermit. He's feeling that Vance is feeling, in order for him to advance, then he's going to have to essentially isolate himself, walk away more and more from this administration while holding the office of vice president, while being pushed increasingly, we're hearing, into going into Pakistan and becoming a more active part of whatever supposed negotiations are going to take place. Then we have what came next. I want to do it in the order Spirit gave me. We have the tower. The tower feels like, because the question was, will he split from Catholicism and morph yet again into a more Christian nationalist bent, because he feels it'll be more politically favorable to him here in the U.S. I want to confirm on that tower. Spirit, is that what you're telling us with the tower? That we can expect a blow up, that J.D. Vance is going to separate from the church, the Three of Wands. I want one more, because I see that a couple of different ways. The Chariot. Spirit said, okay, you want one more? Let me make it even more clear. The Three of Wands and the Chariot. I think not only is JD on his own recognizing he's in trouble, right? But he is being encouraged to do so. That's that Three of Wands. So his political advisors, those in DC and others, the power brokers, are going to say, hey, you can't afford to, go against the Pope. You just can't afford to do that. You cannot afford to continue down that line. If in fact this is your avowed faith and your faith of choice, you can't do that. So I think the Chariot is saying increasingly he's got to figure out how to move away from that. He's got to moving away essentially from his faith, from what he's declared as his faith, and leaning more into this Christian nationalist movement. And I think that's also why we have the Fool, because it's yet another new beginning, new reset, taking a risk, jumping off the cliff just to, and Spirit, if you read with me, when I get my aces, that's Spirit saying, yes, we're on, it's like a double yes. Spirit doubles down on the yes. So yes, Ace of Pentacles. And again, where that's so interesting, because we know this man is known for, like, nobody even knows, who is he? What does he really stand for? Does he stand for anything other than power and doing whatever is necessary for power? But that is not going to go over well. There are Christian nationalists aside, there are a whole lot of pro-life and other. Catholicism is huge around the world, but certainly huge within the conservative base here in the U.S. as well. So for him to what's looking like energetically, he's going to start, figuring out an exit strategy and morphing yet again to appease where he thinks his success lies, with the more right-wing, MAGA Christian nationalists. That's what he's about to do. Good luck with that, JD. All right, and power to the Pope. Power to the Pope. Pope said, no. What are you thinking about? Calling Jesus into this mix, Christ into this mix, heaven into this mix. No. So, all right, there's that. Second thing I want to look at, it's being dubbed a fight club in Congress, where there is growing momentum to get Chuck Schumer to exit stage left. Like, people are really getting frustrated with him. He does not have the juice if you will, to meet this moment, right? He just does not. And so this fight club has formed and is growing. We understand that led by Chris Murphy out of Connecticut. We know he's been doing a fantastic job. Elizabeth Warren, all right, never been shy about getting at the forefront and saying what needs to be said. And Tina Smith out of Minnesota. Of course, Elizabeth Warren is out of Massachusetts. So the three of them are sort of what we're hearing are like the leaders of this growing contingent in Congress to encourage Schumer to step down, or at the very least to agree, do not try to run again in 2028. Unfortunately, if you want to look at it that way, he is still there until 2028. Spirit has talked about, and I talked about on the channel before, that keep your eye out for AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, to go for that seat, to go for the Senate seat in Chuck Schumer's seat. But, who knows? Maybe it would happen sooner rather than later. So I want to take a look at that. Is Chuck Schumer going to be ousted? Is he essentially going to be ousted? Especially because, keeping in mind what we all saw blow up on Friday. Now, I put this in a comment on my post from Friday because I really thought it was a done deal in my spirit. I didn't go to Spirit, and that's where I went wrong. I didn't read on it. I just felt like, okay, if this got through the Senate to fund the TSA or fund that portion of the DHS without ICE funding, then come on, House, you got to do, because we heard Trump coming out in the meanwhile saying, yes, let's go ahead and get them paid. He gave Markwayne Mullen the thumbs up, go ahead and get these TSA agents paid. So when that happened, I was like, okay, then the House, we know that little Mike Johnson does what, he doesn't go to the bathroom. He doesn't go to the bathroom unless Trump tells him it's okay. So we thought it was a done deal, and then it blew up. And then, the reading was sort of technically right in the sense that now we're hearing that indeed there will be some funding, but that funding is perhaps temporary, right? So they kicked the can down the road. But all of this going back to Schumer. Spirit, is Chuck Schumer going to get forced out? Is this fight club that we're hearing, are they going to continue to grow, mobilize, and organize to convince Chuck Schumer to go ahead and step down? He cannot meet this moment. He cannot meet this moment, Spirit. What's happening with Chuck Schumer? Let's see. King of Swords at the bottom of the deck. I think that's representing Schumer. What's going to happen with Schumer? Is he going to be ousted as the minority leader in the Senate? The Eight of Cups, he's recognizing, he's starting to resign himself to the fact that he's losing it and he's lost it. Because as we know, in these positions, whether you're a minority leader or majority leader, what matters is your ability to hold sway over your people. And now we got this fight club and others that are saying, he ain't it. And we have Temperance. He's going to try and work, Schumer's going to try and continue to work it out. I think that Dems, for the sake of everything being at stake this year and really wanting to appear unified, so there may not be a absolute yank Chuck Schumer into a back room somewhere and say, dude, you got to go kind of thing. I don't think Temperance is saying moderation, work it out. Will Schumer agree to resign? Will he agree to resign? Ace of Cups. Wow. Now, timing. Is that a resignation when, is that not running again when his term is up in 28? Is that what you're showing me? The Knight of Wands. And the Queen of Cups, there comes AOC or somebody. I'm sorry for that light again. There comes, somebody. I feel like that's AOC. She has a real watery, not because she's fiery, we know, but water being the flow of her influence, the flow of her reach, and being able to talk to people, gather people to garner support. And the Ten of Cups coming to back that up. And that's also this Fight Club. That's also growing numbers within the Democratic Party in the Senate and otherwise to say Schumer's time is up. And death. Okay, we can call it right there. Yeah, Schumer's done. His goose is cooked. The question is, will there be enough momentum? I'm almost feeling like, depending on the outcome of the midterms, we know, the House is done. The House will happen. The Senate is a possibility. So that's where I think this is coming in. The timing of when he exits is going to depend on the outcome of the elections. If the Senate is not taken, what I'm getting from Spirit is, you all, if the Senate is not taken this November, then he's out, because he doesn't. That means you still got to deal with Thune or whoever as the leader, and clearly his negotiating power is done. So we may see him resign if the Senate is not taken. If the Senate is taken by the Dems, then you may see a little more resistance by Schumer. But either way, I'm getting that by 2028, he realizes he's done, and I think he's just worn out. That Eight of Cups, he's worn out, and you can see it. You can see it. He's his energy, everything is done. So, all right, you all, see you back here tomorrow. We're going to start doing this every day. Again, keeping it shorter, and take really good care. Chin up, shoulders back. Come from your heart. Ooh, I'm all down here in my solar plexus. Come from your heart, and remember, sky above you, earth beneath you. I'll talk to you a little bit later. Bye.